Hi guys, so today we're going to be making minions out of sugar paste, or some people call it fondant. And we're just going to take some yellow and we're just going to make it into a shape. Um, Roughly, if you use your hands for this, you don't really get a nice clean edge. So what I normally do is use a smoother or something hard to roll this on your board, and then you get a nice clean edge for this. And it just looks better. Okay, so just to show you, if you look, you can see now that when you do it with your hands, it's not as smooth as if you do it without. Okay, so we're going to take these, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put our eyes onto these. So I'm going to do 3 here because that's what I need for the cake. So we're just going to take some grey sugar paste and we're going to make the bases of the eyes. So what we're going to do is we're going to make little discs, almost like little buttons, just for the white to stick to, and that'll give it a bit of height for us to then put a rim around it. But we'll show you this further on in the video. So we're just going to take this grey paste and we're going to just knead it and soften it. I normally roll it in a ball just so that all the creases have gone. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to take a small pea-size amount of this grey, and then we're going to make these little discs. So just squash them down into these little discs. Like I say, we're just going to use these for the eyes. So we're going to need 2 for each. Now you'll see that one of the minion figures is bigger than the other 2, so they'll be slightly bigger. But I'm just going to put a bit of glue on now. Edible glue I'd prefer than water because it just sticks better. And then we just push these little grey discs onto the sugar paste. They're a bit tricky because they're small, but once they're in place, they'll stay there then. And just put one next to each other. And like I say, guys, this is just to raise the height just for when we put the eyes on, so they don't look flat. It looks more 2D, 3D rather than 2D. Okay, perfect. So we're just going to do this on all of them. So we'll just take the next minion body and just put a line of glue on, and then stick these 2 circular discs of grey sugar paste onto them. But this is how they look, in case the camera's not close enough. Right guys, so then what we're going to do is we're going to take a bit of white now, just to stick on top of these grey discs. This is the white of the eyes. So just put a small amount of glue, and again a little pea-sized ball, and then just flatten this onto the eye. Now if it's slightly too big, just hold it next to it, and then if not, you can always take a bit off. But we're just looking for a very small piece, almost like a pea size, and that pushes straight on. And we're going to do this for each of the greys, so we need 6 of these in total. Now remember, one is bigger than the other, as in the minion. One minion is bigger than the other, so therefore that will need slightly bigger white eyes. But as you can see, just raises it slightly, just gives it more shadow and depth. And we're just going to do the same now with the other one. And if it just looks too big, just break a piece off and then roll it in the palm of your hand. And then just glue this onto the top of your edible grey discs, or the eye sockets, I suppose. Okay, so it's fairly straightforward, easy enough to do. It can be a bit tricky because they're quite small. So then just flatten them down, and they roughly should look the same size. Now we're going to do the larger one. I'm going to just stick the grey parts onto this. Now we just done one minion bigger because on the cake at the beginning of this video, you'll see that the top tier minion is bigger next to the number, so we just wanted it slightly bigger. So that's the only reason we've done this. So all you need to do, again, just roll these into white and just stick it onto the minion. Now we're going to do the largest minion with just one eye. I think they call him Barry. So that's all we're going to do. So what you need to do is, because you worked with a dark colour now, you just need to wipe your hands just so that it doesn't stick to the fondant on your hands. If you don't keep them clean, it sticks to the others and you get this marbly effect, and it sticks to the yellow. It just becomes untidy. So just have a cloth to hand just to wipe down after each different colour you use. So now we're just going to take some blue, just going to soften it in our hands by rolling it, and so we're just going to roll it nice and thin. This out. Now, this has marble effect in it because it's not quite mixed in properly. So we're just going to take it, knead it, and get rid of that marble effect. Just knead it until it's nice and same color all the way through. So I'm just going to roll this nice and thin now, almost as thin as paper. We don't want it to be too thick. So maybe a millimeter or two thickness. So if you sort of gauge it on paper, it's perfect. What we like to do is just take a piece of ribbon and just wrap it around the minion body, just to see how long you need this dungaree strip to be, or the clothing for the minion. So as you can see, it's around about 3 inches here. So just going to cut it on one end and then mark it on the other. And then we're just going to cut this nice and straight. What this allows us to do is just get a nice clean edge when we wrap it around, so there's no jagged edges. And then just cut off the bottom so it sits nice and neat on the bottom of the minion. Now I like to just put the body next to it just to see how high we want it, because we don't want to go too close to the eye because we need to leave room for the mouth. So that's all we're going to do here, is literally just mark it just to see how high we want to go. And then if we just hold this next to it, it'll show us how deep we want to cut this strip. Now bearing in mind we're going to want to leave a flap just at the front where the pocket's going to go, so it's just slightly higher than the rest of the strip. So we're just going to go maybe a centimetre above that, actually half a centimetre above that, and then cut down into a straight line. So I'm just going to exaggerate this now for you. When I cut it, you'll see that the centre's too big, but I'm just going to do this just so you can see it better on the video. But what you'll see here is it's too wide for the minion, but I'm just going to show it you anyway. And we're just going to get the edges nice and clean. So we're just going to clean them up by using this tool that I have. It's just to make sure there's no jagged edges, because when this blue goes on the yellow, you will see the little uneven cuts. So as you can see, it's too deep. So what we're going to do is just cut some of this top off, and then we're going to make it slightly smaller section as well. So it's slightly too big. So that fits fine there, but it's just not, the pocket's just too big. So again, take another maybe inch off each side, and then that will sit then perfectly under the eye. You want this pocket to be roughly, if you look at minions, it's round about a third of the body width. So it gives you an idea. So this square, you should have the same depth then either side of the body. So now guys, what we're going to do is we're just going to trim things off, just so the pocket's not too close to the mouth and there's room between the eye and the top of the dungaree or the pocket. And then we're just going to trim a little bit off the bottom just so it sits nice and neat. So we're just going to run a piece of glue then just around the base of the minion. This is just to hold the blue dungarees or the clothing of the minion in place. So literally we're going to start with positioning the front part first. So just pick this up gently and stick your pocket, a little bit of glue just behind the pocket, and stick the pocket in place first, making sure that it lines up with the bottom of the yellow body, and then just literally wrap it around. Now if there is any excess, just fold it in, or if you've measured it right, there shouldn't be, but if there is, just cut it off with a knife and it'll sit neat. And then we're just going to repeat this process then for the rest. So as you can see, guys, this is how it looks now. Just put it in my hand and bring it close to the camera for you to see. So that's the large one and the small one now with their clothing. Just going to do the last one now with the clothing, exactly the same steps as what we've previously followed. Again, measure up just to make sure. It just makes it easier when you're using this ribbon to measure up things. It's much easier, and you don't have to have templates, because with templates they work well if you're doing one, but if you're doing several and there's variations such as the body's smaller, you have to keep adjusting the template and making it smaller, and it's just awkward, whereas this way is the quickest way to do it, and it gives the better effect as well. Save your time, and you just need a steady hand when you're cutting these things, but you get used to it once you're doing it. So guys, what we're going to do now is we're just going to make the bottom part of the dungarees. So what we do is we just take a ball of blue icing and glue it onto the bottom. Now, just measure up first of all a piece of icing at the bottom, because literally you don't want it to be that big. You just want it to form a dome on the bottom, just to make it look like the rounded part of the minion. So we'll just literally put a little bit of glue on the bottom and then put a piece on there, and we're just going to smooth around the edge. As you can see, it just forms a dome. It gives that line then of the dungarees. And literally this is the quickest way of doing it. Like I say, if you did the dungarees around a dome shape, you'd have to fold it in. The creases form at the bottom. It's not neat. At least this way it's quicker and it's more effective. So we're just going to do this now on the rest of them. So literally just repeat the steps that I showed you on the first one. As you can see, it looks good compared to one without. You look at them and it's starting to look like a minion, and it's starting to resemble the shape. So this is the best way of doing it, I feel. Again, just press it gently around the sides till it forms the edge and you can't see any yellow. You don't want to be able to see any yellow from this. And then you've got this blue dome on the base. So as you can see, you've now got that full minion shape, rounded at the top, rounded at the bottom, blue clothing, eye or eyes, and now we're just going to put more detail on. So now we're going to put the legs on. So the quickest and the most effective way of doing this is to just roll up some blue into two pea-sized pieces. So we're just going to roll these. Now we always roll this in our hands just to get rid of any creases in the sugar paste or fondant. And just going to make 6 of these. So I just feel that looking at this, it looks too big. So I'm going to cut it into smaller pieces. Glue these onto the bottom of the minion and just push them down gently. So not too hard. You don't want to completely flatten them. So as you can see now, they look very similar. So we'll just again put a little bit of glue. Sorry about the outer shot, but I'm just putting glue on the bottom. And then again take a slightly larger pea-sized piece, because this one is Barry, the bigger minion. And again, roll it into a sausage shape and then cut it into 2. And then we're going to glue each of these onto the leg as we did the previous 2. So a small amount of glue, and then just push these on, and then just flatten them down slightly. So I'm just repositioning them. And then what we'll do is take the tool and we'll texture the legs just so they look like creases, like that. So now we're just going to make the smile for the minions. So what we want to do is take some black paste and just soften it between our fingers, and then just roll it between your hands just to get rid of any cracks. And this just makes it easier to roll then. So if it's nice and smooth and soft, then it rolls and there's no cracks in it, so you get a nice finish. So we're going to take a piping nozzle and just cut out 3 circles. Now we only need 2, but I'll just show you just for demonstration purpose. So we'll get rid of the excess black. Now just take a piping nozzle and let's just mark where we're going to glue the mouth to on the minion. So we're just going to literally put in a small mark, so it's almost like an indentation of a smile. And this will just show us where to glue the black smile to. Okay, so we're going to put a tongue on the minion. So cut away 3/4 of the circle using the nozzle. And again, do the same on the second one. So I'm just going to leave them next to each other so you can see. But looking at them, the smiles look a little bit too big, as in there's too much of a crescent. So we're just going to take the piping nozzle. And then what we'll do is we'll just cut off some of the excess edges. Okay, so I've left one next to it, so you can see it's just like smaller. Now these are quite fiddly to work with because they're very small. So just pick them up with a tool, and then we're going to just work with them in our hand. And then normally it's easier to glue these directly on to the face with a brush. So we'll just pick this up and place it onto our hand. And then we'll take a brush with just a light amount of glue and just glue each edge just so it sticks, because it's hard to do this once you've glued it on. And then we'll just place it on top of the smile mark that we made with the nozzle. And there you go. So that's Bob's smile. And then we'll do the same with the next one. I'll just notice there's a little bit of black here. Just going to clean it down. Okay. So now we'll do it with the next one. So we take the smile again, but again we just trim away the excess because it is slightly too big a smile. So this is just down to discretion. And then again, because they're smaller still, they're even fiddlier. So small brush, sorry that I'm out of shots. I'm just literally gluing on the back of it. And then I'm just going to glue the smile between the eyes and the top of the pocket. And as you can see, it's a perfect little smile. And again, there's just a little bit of excess glue that's oozed out the side, so I'm just cleaning it up. There you go. So with this one, I'm not actually putting a smile on. I'm just going to put a mark, expression mark. So I'm going to make it look like he's gritting his teeth. So literally just a line and then two smile marks either side, and then just open it up slightly with the tool. And that just gives a bit of variance then for the cake. Okay, so that's that part done. So now what we're going to need to do is we're just going to put the bands around the head. So the one that looks like it holds the eyes on. So just move the minions out of the way. And then we'll just soften the black again. And we're going to roll this as thin as possible. So as thin as what we did with the smile. So we'll just roll this. And then we're going to cut two straight edges. So we'll cut on the left and on the right. And this just makes sure that it's nice and neat. And then we're going to divide this into 3 strips. So there are tools that can do this, ribbon cutters and whatever, but I just find when it's this delicate and thin, it's easier to do yourself. So just use the cutter to cut out 3 strips. And roughly, they don't need to be exactly the same, but thereabouts. So as long as you've got a steady hand, you'll be okay. We'll leave this excess for later. So then what we're going to do is we're going to cut this straight edge so it's nice and neat. And then with one of these strips, we're just going to cut it so it's nice and neat. Glue this. Just going to glue it onto the head. So I've already put some glue on. And we're just going to literally drop it on the eye, turn it around. Sorry, I'm out of focus again here. And then when it comes to the next eye, just push it in with your finger and then just cut it off just before the eye. And then that's the black strip then around the eye. Sorry, I keep going out of focus. It's hard when it's filming and you're trying to model them. Okay, there you go, as you can see. So that's one. So again, we'll repeat this step for the other 2. So exactly the same, just gluing now around the back of the head between where the eyes are. And we'll take another strip and we just literally, and then again, wrap it around, push it on to the eye to make sure it sticks, and then cut off the excess. And just neaten it up if it's slightly crooked. So that's it. That's the second one. So now the final one for Bob. Again, small amount of glue all the way around the edge. All I'm doing is literally just gluing a line all the way around. And then we'll take a strip of this and exactly like we did before, just let it automatically sit onto the glue itself and then wrap it around, and then the excess, push it onto your finger, and then the excess will be cut off. And there you go. It's fairly easy to do. It's fairly simple. Sorry guys, I keep going out of camera shot, but that's literally then the minions' eyes, straps, everything. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take some blue to make the straps for the dungarees. So again, just soften this and then roll it thin. And we're going to roll this a little bit thicker than what we did for the straps around the eyes. So just cut off a piece. And I'm just cleaning the knife now, just because there's a few marks from the black. So just cut off a straight edge and then cut a line all the way down. So exactly as you did with the straps for the eyes, but this time just a slightly bit thicker. And then we're going to cut 3 strips out of this paste. So there's the first one, then your second, and then your third. Now again, try and keep them a similar thickness, but Bob's will be slightly thicker. So there you go. So we'll just take a bit of glue and wipe the excess off, and then just wipe an arch shape, because this is literally going to go around and meet at the back. So an arch shape on each side. Sorry guys, I'm out of focus there again. And we'll cut these strips into half, so we've got one for each side. Okay, then again, what you want to do is just cut these so they're the right thickness. You don't need to be too long, otherwise they're hard to handle. So just so it's resting literally on the tip of the pocket, and then comes round to the back, and then cut the excess off. And then we do the same with the next one. So take another strip, and we use the same strip so we know it's the same thickness. And then literally just to the edge of the pocket, and then where the glue is, you can see the glue shining on the model, and then where the back is, cut the excess if you need to, or in this case we don't. And there's the straps. So we'll just repeat this then with the others. So again, take a little bit of excess glue, and then just an arch going from the pocket front to the back on both sides. Again, we cut these into two, and then literally, now because they are quite thin, they are fiddly as well to manage. So literally just pick up a piece and just let it rest literally on the edge of the pocket, the corner, and then round to the back, cut the excess off and pull off the excess. Just pat it down to make sure it's glued. Now we're going to do the same on the other side. Literally, just once it gets to the edge, push it in with your finger to secure it to the glue, all the way around, follow the glistened mark, and then glue onto the back. And there you go, that's the second one done. Okay, so the last one now. So again, I'm going to just neaten this because this last one looks a little bit thicker than the rest. I'm just going to slightly take a bit of excess off. So there you go. Again, just take some more excess off because the next one looks a little bit thicker. And then take your brush. Just tidy up first, get this out of the way. And then we'll take our brush, take a little bit of glue, and again, an arch going from the corner of the pocket right round to the back. And just to meet in the middle at the back, there you go, all the way around. And then we put another one on, so literally let it just sit on the corner of the dungaree pocket. As soon as it's there, then just press it with your finger gently just to glue it, and then to the back, cut the excess off, and then we'll just repeat the next one. So just allow it to just sit on the corner. They can be a bit tricky, these can, but once you've done one or two, you get used to them then. There you go, so it's on the corner, so allow it to wrap around, and at the back, cut the excess off, and there you go. So we now have the 3 dungarees with straps for the minions. So we'll carry on now to the next stage. So now guys, we're just going to take this remaining blue to make the pockets. Okay, so we'll just get rid of the excess and take this strip and divide it into 3 for 3 pockets. Now one will be slightly bigger than the others, so we'll change that as we need to. So we've got 3 little strips, and the pocket's actually an oval arched curve. So what we'll do is just use the piping nozzle to just cut an arch on the top. So there you go. And with this, because it's going to be smaller, we'll just cut out a circle and then just cut some of the top off. Now this looks like it might be slightly too wide, but we'll just try it against the minion. Yeah, I think it might be slightly too wide. So what you can do is you can just peel this up or it's glued. And then just trim a little bit off the sides. It just looked a little bit too big for what I needed. And again, this already has glue on there, so just take a brush and just glue this in place. There you go, that's better. Okay, so we'll just do the same with the next one. So we'll just cut out this arched circle. And then just trim the excess off the sides. We'll do the other one first. There you go. And then just cut off the excess off the sides, just so it fits. So we'll just trim off the excess. And then they look slightly deeper, so we'll just cut off a little bit from the bottom on each one. Keep them roughly the same size. So these don't need to be perfect, but I'm just going to round up the edges a little bit more because we sort of lost the shape because we cut a little bit too much off. So we'll just round it slightly. So then we'll just lift this up, put it onto our hand, and then take the glue brush, which already has glue on it. Take a little bit of glue, and then we glue it straight on. Or we can just, I would just wanted to see if it was the right size then. So it's a little bit bigger. So I'm just cutting down the excess. There you go. Okay, so with the brush and the glue, just glue it back in place like the other two. Perfect. And then we'll take the next one, glue it into place. So as you can see now, they're starting to look like the minions. There you go. Okay, so right, on to the next step. So what we're looking to do, we'll just clean up our area first, just so none of this fondant sticks to other parts. And so we'll work on Bob because he's the largest. So we're just going to take a little bit of grey now. We're just going to do the rim of the eyes, or in this case, Bob. So again, use a hard surface to roll this. If you roll it with your hands, you'll have the imprint of your hands and creases, and you don't really get a neat finish. So I use a smoother just to roll this. So just keep rolling it till you get the thickness that you want. Again, this is down to discretion. Now, it can be a little bit tricky, but once you've rolled it, it's fine. So there you go. I'm happy with this. So what I want to do, yeah, might be actually we'll roll it a little bit thinner. So just roll it a little bit thinner, and then that should be fine. So we'll take a bit of glue then. Once we've cut it, we'll just cut it to length. We'll take a bit of glue, just glue around the edge, and then we're just going to place this grey part around the rim of the eye. So that's why we put the white on the grey bit at the beginning, just so it has a bit of height. And then we glue this round, take our tool, and just cut off a nice neat line at the top, and you won't see the joint. Then just push it back in, and that's that done. Fairly quick. So that's Bob. almost done. So again, let's just take the remaining grey and do the same for the other two. So we just roll it till it's nice and thin. And literally just keep rolling until you're happy with the thickness. Take the brush then, we'll cut off the strip first. Now I'm going to cut it in two so that it does both eyes. Take a brush, a little bit of glue, that the excess from the table, and then just glue all around the edge. That's all we're going to do. And we're going to do it in one strip. You can do these individually, but this is just an easier, quicker way of doing it. So all the way around as one. And there you go. And then what we're going to do is there's a gap in the middle. So we're just going to take the edge of the tool. Oh, the strap's just come a little bit loose then, caught it. Okay, so we'll take the paintbrush and we'll, the back of the paintbrush, push it in so it creates that curve so it doesn't look so straight. And then with our tool, we're just going to push our tool into the middle, and this will just sort of push it right down just to close the gap between the eyes so that it looks like each individual eye has had a strip around it. And there you go. Perfect. So then we'll do the next one, as you can see. So with the other strip, remaining strip, then just take the brush. We'll just make sure this is a little bit thinner because this minion looks smaller than the other one. So a little bit thinner for this grey. And then we'll take a brush, take a little bit of glue, just glue around the edge of both eyes. And then again, how we did it before, put it straight onto the minion, wrap it all the way around, and then take your paintbrush and just push in the centers. Oh, I just pushed a little bit too hard to move the eyes in. So just need a little bit more glue. There you go, easily solved. And then, so literally with our tool, cut off the excess grey, and then just join together. And then with paintbrush, push back again in the gaps. And then with our tool, we're going to just push in the middle so that it fills the gap. So all we're doing with this is just literally filling the gap between the eyes. So just pushing the grey in slightly. That's it. And that's that part done. So that part's finished now. So let's go on to the next part. So as you can see, I'm just trying to bring them close to the camera, just so you get a better view. And they're starting to look then almost complete. So we'll just tidy up the area. And what we're going to do now is take some white, because we're just going to make the teeth on Bob now. So the middle one, I'm planning on having a tongue sticking out. So you'll see now. But we'll just, again, use the nozzle cutter, cut 2 circles. I'll do with 3 just to show you, just so you get an idea. But we're only going to use 1. So literally, we just make sure they're not sticking to the board. And we use our cutter again, and exactly how we did with the smile. So we make the same curve, 3/4 of the circle we cut away, like so. And then same on the other, and then same on the other. So just to show you, literally that's all we're doing. Just clean the nozzle away just in case we need to use it again. Okay, now again, the teeth look a little bit too long, so we're just going to cut away the edges, and then we're just going to do that on the next one. Cut away the excess, and then the third one. Now we're only going to use one of these, but just to show you. And then we just make some lines in there so you can have the gaps between the teeth. So literally just make an impression mark, 3 or 4, depending on the size, just so when they're glued on, you get to see that it's not just one strip. Now this looks a little bit wider, so I'm just going to cut off a little bit of excess. Now because this is a lot thinner, I'll just do a spare one just in case I need it. And then, because it's a lot smaller, it'll be a bit more hard to manage. So all we're going to do first is we're just going to pop the tongue on. So a little smallest blob of red, little bit of glue on Bob's black smile, and then just pop the red onto there, push it down gently, and then with the tool just put in a little line just to give a bit of an impression, and then we can put the teeth on top. So we'll take the smallest one and just gently pick it up, and then again I'm out of focus, sorry guys, but literally all I'm doing is just straightening it, and then I'm just applying a little bit of glue on the back, and it's just stuck to the brush now, and then I'm going to just glue that straight in place. So just wasn't quite stuck down, so it wasn't quite into position. Once it's into position, then I push it down. This can be a little bit tricky because it's so small, but that's it. So there you go, and Bob now has teeth and a tongue. So with the next one, we're not going to do teeth on this. We're going to just make him a little bit more cheekier and just make him have a tongue. So again, a little small red piece and flatten down slightly, and then we'll just have that tongue sticking out to the right. So we'll just glue it in place now. So pick it up with the paintbrush and then just stick that on there, and then I'm just going to make a line in there for the tongue. And there you go. So we've made Bob's brother a little bit cheekier. So just make sure I'm happy with it. So let's just have a quick look. So yeah, looks okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just tidy up a little bit, and we're going to now put the iris on, so the brown part of the eye. So take a little bit of brown and just put a little blob of glue in the center of the white on each of them. So you don't want to put too much, otherwise you lose out. So literally just a small pinhead amount of glue. And then we're just going to take literally a very small blob, not even maybe a fifth of the white. And then we're just going to put these little brown iris points on the eyes just to start to bring their eyes to life. And so we just push these on now gently. And then Bob's cheeky little brother gets a iris as well. And then we'll do the second one. So just a little bit more brown. If you're not quite sure, just pinch off a little bit more. And then just push down on. Just flatten it down slightly, not all the way down. So now we've done that, just going to do the pattern on the iris. So normally some people paint it on large ones you can, but I'm just using this shell tool just to make a bit of an impression there. It just makes these little lines in the eyes. And then take a little bit of glue just in the center, and then we'll just apply the pupil with black sugar paste. So literally just take black and just the smallest amount, and just again just put it into the center. So we'll do this then on all of them. So a little small amount of black, just not even a half of what you use for the brown, maybe a third, and then just push this on gently, just so you can see the brown around the black, and then you have the white rims. So that's it. And then final one on there. And that's it. So we're there then. Let's just have a look. Make sure we're happy with the faces. Yeah, they all look okay. So then what we need to do is we need to give these guys some feet. So we'll take the remaining black, and we'll take a brush with the glue and just paint a strip of glue just on the bottom, just for the boot to stick to. So we just take a sausage shape, and then we're going to cut this in two. So literally down the center. So Bob's slightly larger, and then glue these on with the flat part at the back. Very simple, very quick. There you go. Okay, and then we're going to do the same with the other two. So a small sausage shape, cut in half, and this should give us our shape. And then just apply a little bit more glue in case it's not enough. And we'll just glue these onto the bottom of the minion. So just flatten it down slightly. And that's it, guys. That's them done.